Currently just waiting to hear. I think the postie was just here. Not for me. But he was making a lot of noise. Well, not him. My neighbours, as they're accepting mail. Not complaining. I'm just saying you probably could have heard it. Anyway. Hello! Welcome to everyone... What? Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode. It is currently Monday, the 8th of February. I know. Why am I back already? Why am I suddenly recording another video when it's only been slightly more than a week? So I was going to record over the weekend, but things got busy and just couldn't really make the time, and I was just like, screw it. I normally don't like filming weekdays because it's when I'm meant to be writing up my thesis. But it's been a weird day, so I was like, screw it, we'll do it today. The day started perfectly because it's been snowing. I remember when I first moved to York and everyone was like, it never snows here, don't get excited. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then it snowed, I think, once when I first kind of like moved here. And since I've been back, so after like Christmas and everything, I think it snowed 3 times already. Maybe 4. So I feel like I've been lied to, but in a good way. Like I'm happy. So it snowed quite a bit in the morning. Sorry, I'm just looking outside my bedroom window / doors. It's pretty much melted now, but it occasionally kind of all of a sudden comes back. I think today I actually posted that on my stories, but by the time this goes up, you won't be able to watch it anymore because I'm not going to save it. Don't know why, but I'm not going to save it. Anyway, welcome to those of you who are new, because I do have some new subscribers. And of course also welcome to everyone else, you know, who's been watching. So like I said, it's only been about a week since my last video. Fixing my socks. I'm so professional. My socks never stay on. Doesn't matter if I knit them, if I buy them, they don't stay on. They get twisted and then they start to fly off. So I'm just here to talk about my knitting, mainly. I don't know if I've ever talked about anything else other than knitting and like yarn in general. But today, something has happened, which I will get into later. But spoilers, I've been doing something that isn't knitting. Ooh, it's not that exciting. I don't know why I'm making it out to be so exciting. But I mentioned in my last episode, it's a bit echoey. Is that just me? Oh well. I mentioned in my last episode that because I took such a long break from filming, there's a lot of things that I finished that I haven't shared yet. So I've put them all together in a box down here. The box is overflowing, and I'm not going to get through all of them today. But I'm going to get through some of them, and that's what's important. Plus, if I do, this is part of the reason why I'm doing another video so soon, because one, I've been knitting quite a lot last week, and then also I still have so many of these to share. So, first, a story I forgot to tell you in the last episode because I had so much to say. I mentioned a kind of spooky sort of story. Can't remember how much detail I went into it. But when I was in Dubai visiting my parents, watch my last video if you've got issues with that. I talked a bit about why I went and what I did to stay safe and protect everyone, because I didn't take that lightly, and I really am lucky that I got to see my family. But we watched The Haunting of Bly Manor. I hadn't seen the first one, where I don't even remember what it was called. Hill House? Haunting of Hill House? Something like that. I hadn't seen that one. I think I'd heard of it. I'd also heard of The Haunting at Bly Manor, or Haunting of Bly Manor, but was like, I don't do well with scary things, I'm not watching that. But then a friend of mine, the one I knitted the Cozy Classic Raglan for, which I think I showed off the completed one, and she loved it, fits really well, really happy with it. And she loves it too. Her kitten loves it too, and she's like, I have to keep it away from him. But it's adorable either way. And she mentioned, like, you need to watch this, it's really cool. And I was like, yeah, but I don't do well with scary things. I'll keep it for Dubai and I'll force either just my mum or my dad too, if he's willing to watch it, into watching the series. Getting my dad to watch stuff is a bit difficult because, well, he works so long. He's such a hard worker, it's insane. But he got really into it. But if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil anything because I'm pretty sure this kind of happens even within the first episode. But the main character, whose name I can't remember, she, whenever she looks into like mirrors or anything that's slightly reflective, she sees this kind of creepy dude with like glowing eyes. And it really freaked me out. Like, really freaked me out. I couldn't handle it because it was pretty much just jump scare after jump scare. Even if you knew it was coming, I was just like, I can't handle this. So I had said, after I think we watched 3 episodes in one go, and my parents assumed I was joking, but I was like, can I sleep in your bed, please? I'm so scared. Or can someone sleep in the bed I'm sleeping in? I don't want to be alone. And they thought I was joking. I was not. I was really scared. Like, I really do get creeped out. Especially, like, there's a lot of things where it's like, if I'm in a place I'm not too familiar with, and even though I've stayed at my parents a few times, like, it's still not my apartment, but even in my own apartment I can get scared because, well, there's things and noises. But anyway, so what my lovely, lovely mother did, and the only reason I sort of have excused this is because she thought I was joking, and I was like, I don't know how much more serious I could have made this. But she crafted a little something and left it in my room. So if you've seen it, this might also freak you out. It scared the crap out of me. And the reason I have it, I did not take this. Just pointing it out. I got back, I think it was like 2 or 3 days later, I was talking to my parents and my mum was like, oh, did you like fully unpack your suitcase? I was like, yes, I was very good about it. I did it quite quickly because I wanted it done. And she's like, yeah, but did you check the front pockets? And I was like, I thought I did, maybe I didn't. And she's like, oh, I left a little surprise in there for you. Normally my mum leaves like cute little notes or like a little present. I was like, oh, I'm so excited. But forgot about it. Pardon me. And I was about to go to bed. And then I was like, oh wait, Mum said I need to check the front pocket. Okay, let's quickly go do that. Took the suitcase out again, which I store in my closet. Opened it, felt something, pulled it out, and it was this. And this was late at night. And I was like, thanks, that's great. That's exactly what I needed. So instead of going to bed, I then went back into my living room, turned all the lights on and knitted for like another hour. And my sleep hasn't been great since then. I'm sort of joking. My sleep hasn't been great, but I don't blame that. So that is the spooky story that I forgot to share last time. And please, everyone, shame my parents. Please don't be on their side. Please don't think that this is really funny. Poor me. Anyway, I'm going to share some bits because I've been busy. First, I'm going to share things that I've actually finished since last week. And then I'll get into things that I finished while I wasn't recording. So, if you watched my abandoned projects video, I think I did 2 parts because I had so many. I'll try to link them. But I had mentioned that, well, strike that. I'll start again. In that video, it was really about projects where, I, started knitting them, was really keen on them, but then for some reason, for many different reasons, I just kind of lost my knitting mojo with them and started new things. Really, that's the reason I didn't finish any of them. I started new things. And one of them was one of the first things I really knitted since I got into knitting, which was at the beginning of 2019. So the first thing was a cowl. I think I've shared that before. If I haven't, it's nothing special. But I love it because it really is like the first thing I made. Mum and I were in Oslo because Dad was there for work and I got to come along, which was really nice. And Mum, whenever she's anywhere in Europe or anywhere outside of Dubai, is like, yarn shopping, we must go. And I kind of go along, but never was that interested. But then I just saw this beautiful blue yarn and had to have it. And so then kind of looked and I was like, well, how do I know what to make? But they had like a website and where it said what you could make, how much yarn you need. So I bought it. I think Mum also bought me the needles and everything. Came back to York, did it in like an afternoon, evening, and was like, I need more knitting stuff. And during that time in 2019, I was having a really, really rough time with my mental health. Like a lot of stuff was just happening. A lot of my friends were really struggling, and then kind of, you know, that increased, I don't want to say burden, but like that increased the kind of demand on me of being there for people when I was struggling to be there for myself. So a friend of mine, when I'd mentioned, like, I want to get back into knitting, but I don't know where to buy anything and I don't know anything. I only know how to make a scarf. And she was like, well, I know a place in York, let's go there. And they didn't have much yarn. It's just kind of, it's called Boys for anyone in York. Really cool shop because they have so much different stuff, but not always the best quality. And when it comes to the yarn, I think they mainly had acrylic, and that's what I bought. I think it's like Stylecraft DK or something like that. So it's mainly acrylic with a bit of wool. And I started a blanket. And because I didn't want to knit it all in one go and have like hundreds of stitches, I was like, I'll do like panels and then seam them together. Back when I didn't know seaming together sucks, which is great. So I'd got through most of one panel quite quickly because, well, that was the only thing I was knitting at that time. And then I think I discovered wool in the gang and was like, ooh, kits, let's buy them all. And then let's not work on this anymore. But I still wanted to finish it because I kind of, some people might not agree with this, but I started calling it my depression blanket because I was like, I am unhappy. If I knit a blanket while I'm unhappy, it will knit away my unhappy feelings and I'll have a cozy blanket and I will be good again. Spoiler alert, that didn't happen. Like, I'm doing much, much better now. But, you know, silly ideas by silly Nina. I'm just going to show it now because I just keep looking at it and you guys can't see it. This is what it looked like. I did 2 panels, you can see here. That's where I seamed it together. So it's this grey, I'll give you a close-up. Will it focus? There. So it's this grey, like I said, acrylic wool kind of blend. Hello. With these like bright coloured speckles, which is really cute, I think. And I was going to do 3 panels, but then after I finished the second one, like I powered through the second panel. I was like, to be honest, it's already quite wide. And part of me also just kind of went, I don't think I'm going to keep it. I didn't, like when I knitted this wasn't a, oh, I'm keen on a blanket. It was, like I said, it was my depression blanket. It was a coping mechanism. It was a trying to feel better during a crappy time. And now I'm kind of like, maybe I don't want to keep it. Especially because I've got other blankets I'm working on. So I've looked into it and apparently there are obviously places where you can donate them either to shelters helping homeless people, also with animals and things. I just need to find out that because it's acrylic and wool, which place can actually take that. And I think it's more likely the homeless shelter will take it because it's because of the acrylic. It should, I think it even says on the label, should be machine washable, just chuck it in the washing machine, and that's a requirement that they have. And so I thought, you know, the blanket, that sort of, the reason that the blanket did help me is because, well, it got me into knitting, and that changed everything for me. So it has done its job, and now it can do wonderful things for someone else. So that was the first thing I finished. So I still have yarn left over to make a 3rd panel, but I might either make some other bits and then donate them, or I might just see if, like in my apartment block, you can pretty much just leave stuff downstairs and then someone will grab it. So I might leave those balls of yarn and maybe the appropriate like knitting needles so someone else can have a go. But they did finish this. It was nothing, pardon me, what's going on? It's nothing special. I don't even know how many stitches I cast on. I did not do a slip stitch, like salvage, like side. I was new to it. I just cast on and started knitting. hate seaming together and didn't do a beautiful job, but it will do. I could block it because I think it will get a bit bigger if I do, but I'm not actually sure if I can block it anywhere in my apartment, so I might just leave it. And it's mainly acrylic anyway, so don't think I need to. But anyway, that is now done, which feels amazing because this is like the second knitting project I ever did, and now it's actually done. Yoo-hoo! And then, stupid me, how about I mention what I'm wearing? Because if you watched my last video, I complained about the fact, why do I never have any like knitwear to wear for my videos? I do. I just forgot. So, let me just, I really want to show off, where is it? Where, can you even see that? Can you, oh god. Actually should be further forward. Can you see this cool sleeve detail? Let's say what it is first. So this is the pure Fuzz sweater by Ellie, who goes by Skeindeer Knits on Ravelry, and I think Skeindeer on Instagram. And it's really interesting because she used, I think it was Pickles yarn, which is I think like a Norwegian brand, and she used one fingering weight help with mohair, but her mohair was fingering weight. So unlike the normal ones where it's like lace mohair and fingering weight held double, this mohair was thicker. And I was like, I want that. But it's really hard to get that yarn here. And then I tried to look for other kind of fingering weight mohair and couldn't really find any. And she does say in the pattern, like if you can't get a heavier weight mohair, just hold mohair double. And then I immediately went, that's pricey. I am not going to do that. But then I remembered that someone on Instagram, I can't remember who it was having a D-stash. And I occasionally buy from D-stashes if I find something I really like. But she was D-stashing some drops yarn. And I've bought some stuff from drops, like directly from like a store, but I typically don't really buy drops. There's a lot of kind of things surrounding that. But anyway, but when I do buy drops, I make sure it never has any like acrylic in it because I don't do acrylic yarn other than that. And a few other random skeins I've got, but I typically don't try to buy it. With my kind of budget, I guess, I typically don't need to. But I knew I couldn't knit this in hand-dyed yarn. I was like, too expensive, not happening with all the mohair I have to buy. So when I saw the D-stash, I was like, well, I saw the D-stash, I bought it, and then when I saw this, I was like, I have a lot of mohair. So I'll give you a bit of a close-up. Let's see if it actually picks up the colours properly. So can you see how the mohair is this brighter, more neon kind of purple? Almost blue, I guess. And underneath it is the actual fingering weight, which is more like a lilac colour. So I love the colour that you kind of get out at the end. It's actually much more purple in real life. It's coming off much more blue, at least on my screen. It's knit top down, but what I was showing you before, let's try that again. I can't remember what she calls this, but you actually start working it flat, so you don't have, like, it's not a raglan, and it's not just circular increases either. You've got these kind of specific shoulders here, which I think are really cool, and it was so much fun to work that. Obviously I've got same thing on the other side. It's just really hard to see with the colours I've got. I made it relatively cropped, as you can see here. My jeans end here. Belly button here, in case you wanted to know. It's got quite a bit of positive ease, which I like. And another big thing for me was I like quite firm fitting sleeves. I'm not a huge fan of anything too big. I don't know. I think it just gets a bit uncomfortable when I work and when I do things, and I always want to pull it backwards, but I need to pull it forwards. Really quick knit, because you do it on quite big needles. I finished this so long ago, I don't remember what the needle size is. But check out the pattern. if you do like the look of it. But it did knit up just really, really quickly, also because you're holding 3 strands of yarn, or at least I had to. I did kind of go, oh, 3 strands of yarn. That can be quite tangly, because 2 already can be a bit uncomfortable. But it was okay, especially holding mohair double. It's so sticky, so sometimes if one ball would kind of unravel quicker than the other, and you'd get like it all stuck together. It wasn't the most fun, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So I was like, that's I can live with that. And I think the end result is just beautiful. So I don't know, do I have the sleeve fully pulled out? I think it's, oh yeah, because it's got positive ease, so the sleeve doesn't actually go fully in for me. And like always, when it's like, do the sleeve decreases, and then knit until the sleeve is this long, and then do the cuff, I always try my jumpers on, because if I had done what the pattern says, I think my sleeve would have ended here. I've got long arms. I think I've mentioned this, I'm wider, like arm span is wider than I am tall. And normally they're meant to be roughly equal. I've also got a relatively long torso, so I often need to make things longer. So even though this was cropped, I think I had to add like an extra inch or 2. And same thing, that's what I roughly add to the sleeves as well. So I kind of roughly measure if they say this is how long it needs to be. And then I kind of go, cool, add an inch or 2. And then I typically try it on anyway and get a feel for it. So it just kind of fits perfectly. And I do quite like being able to pull my sleeves up a bit. I don't want them just down here. Oh, I haven't shown this. A pen exploded. I was writing down some things from one of the things I was working on, and then noticed the pen had exploded, and the yarn I'm working with is white. I don't think I had an accident. I don't think it stained anything, but that was terrifying. But yeah, so that's finished object number 2, which I finished. That's why I didn't mention it, because I had an order to these things. I didn't finish this since last time. I finished this a while ago. But I love it. Today's actually my second time wearing it. I didn't block it for ages because when do I ever? Cold tea, but it's a herbal tea, so it's fine. Do I have anything else to say about this? Not sure I probably won't ever make another one. I love it, but it really is just because unless once all this pandemic stuff is over and I can, if my dad has another like business trip to Norway and I get to go, if I can find some pickles yarn, then actually find that mohair, then I think I would. Because like I said, I really did enjoy it. But I think it does need the mohair, so I wouldn't just do it, like with DK weight yarn or thicker. DK and mohair could work, couldn't it? But I like the fact that it's so fluffy because of the double mohair, so you can barely see the fingering weight. Like mohair already dominates, but this like dominates even more. Yes. Next thing. Let me just sort through my pile of nope. Not this time. Nope, not this time. Dear. Oh, here we go. We're getting to the bottom of the box now where all the stuff is I was working on last time. This next one I'm going to go through really quickly because if you watched my last video, I don't want to... Oh, hello, we're out of focus. Waiting. Hello. Focus, please. Thank you. Apparently I just need to move. I'm going to talk about these really quickly because if you watched my last episode and if you checked out my Instagram post, I hate these. They're done. Goodbye. That's all you're getting. I'm not going to talk about them for long. Check the description box. They're those show your house pride, show your pride Quidditch socks from the Harry Potter knitting magic knitting book. Whatever. I'm going to send them off. I saved them for this, also because I have to send other parcels and I want to limit my trips out. But they're done. They're getting sent off. My friend already knows all the trouble I went through and she feels guilty. And I was like, no, please don't. This is why I didn't really want to talk about it. Because this is not your fault. It's my fault. And then the next thing is also my fault. Last time I showed you this one. But it's blocked now. How nice does that look? Ah! Love it. Did the second one, where I think I'd only had the cuff last time. First off, we have a mistake. Not really a mistake, my yarn just got caught. So it came to the front and I can't push it under. But whatever. I'm like, I don't care. But I had the issue that all of this, so the cuff bit is knit in 2.5 and then you're meant to move up to 3 or whatever you need to obtain gauge, because the way that this is knit is you don't have different numbers of stitches. You don't have different numbers of stitches for each size. You just change the needle size to get a different, width and everything out. But what I forgot was when I made these, the first one I started in York and I'd done this at home and then the rest I did in Dubai. So I used my mum's knitting needles to do this part. And she has the Knit Pro, it's like synchronized or something, the wooden DPNs. I don't have those in 3s, I have them in 3.5s. I didn't use 3.5s, don't panic. So I do have 3s though, but they're like really cheap ones from some kind of like a cheaper store which had some crafty bits in Austria. Oh, what's going on? Is it the tea? Is it the nerves? Am I nervous? And the stitches don't really slip off. Like they really grip to the weird kind of metal plastic, whatever the needles are made of. And so I didn't notice until I got to about here. I tried to block it out, but you can sort of still see it. I got to about here and noticed it was so, not like a lot bigger. I'll try and show you. You can see there's maybe like, put the thumb away, this much. Like 2 or 3 extra stitches wide. Which also made it a bit longer as well because my stitches were bigger. Because I couldn't slip the stitches of my needle, so I can't knit with my usual tension, I had to knit a bit looser. And then I got to about here, and I didn't think about it. I was like, oh yeah, just keep knitting and just go a bit looser so they slide off and it makes your life easier. And then got to here and was like, whoa, wait, but will it be the same as this one? Answer is no. So always use the same needles. If you're doing socks, if you're doing mittens, anything that requires 2. Just for the whole project, just always use the same needles for the whole project. Don't change needles. If you're going to change needles, you need to redo everything. Or swatch with the new needles and then figure out your tension is different and go to a smaller size. So it's also a bit longer. But the thing is, like, the size difference isn't that big, but you can also just see it's like mama reindeer and papa reindeer, or baby, not even baby, teenage reindeer, adult reindeer. So they're a bit longer and a little bit wider. I've tried to block it out, but because they're a bit too long and a bit too wide, I'm like, where do the stitches go? So I was like, scrunching everything up. I'm not mad about it because I know why that is, and I know that's not really my fault because I didn't want to order more needles. So like in the future, I'll know, always bring all your needles or steal your mother's needles. Sorry, Mum. I did actually steal one, but it was a 3.5, which I already have. So now I have 6 of them. But I will return it at some point. But I am happy with them. They will get worn, they will be loved, and who knows, maybe an accident will happen to this one. I could actually make another one. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. I think I have enough yarn. I don't think I want to do that to myself though. But they were fun. But they're my second colourwork project, and this was, in my opinion, very ambitious, considering I hadn't really done any colourwork. I showed those wristies last time. That was like my first proper colourwork project. But that was with Shetland yarn, which is much grippier than Corriedale, BFL. I think I used Corriedale and BFL. I mentioned last time the red is for a mini I got from Banshee yarns. The green is from a mini from the Wool Kitchen. And my main colour is, I think it's called Elderflower from Hook and Light, and it's a corridor base, and the other two I think are BFL. This one might be. It doesn't feel like a merino, but it might be. It didn't say. It literally didn't say on there. It was just a free mini that I got. It didn't say anything about colour or anything. Because considering this was my second colour work project, I'm really happy with them. Like, especially this first one. I'm like, what is this? Other than beautiful. And the second one is just, well, I'll make another one in the future, and anyone who has bigger hands than me, this one's yours. But once again, the difference isn't that big. Everything's just like a little bit bigger. So it's kind of like I made, I think, the size 3. This is the size 4. I haven't worn them yet because I don't really go outside anymore. I don't know about you, but I work from home. I go grocery shopping every now and then, but I try to reduce that. Maybe I'll wear them to the post office. But love them. Like I said, I hope Ellie does another mystery knit along. Otherwise, I'll just do one of the old ones. Loved it. Loved it. Loved it. I think that was everything from last time. And we've already been going for half an hour. Great! So, I'll pick a few out of the pile. Okay, this one I wanted to talk about last time and I didn't. Before my computer falls asleep, saw that, I do not remember her name. I don't remember the designer's name. I remember the yarn itself came from Eden Cottage, I think it's called. I'm just going to show it so you can see what I'm talking about. But it is a cowl. Just looks all twisted, and it is twisted. Like, I did that on purpose. That's what you're meant to do. But it just makes it showing it off is really hard. But this is called the Cat Vent Cowl, which I think was from the pattern, whatever the designer's name is. I'm so sorry. I can't remember. I'll blend it in and have it down below anyway. And it's meant to be done using Advent colours. But obviously if you use someone else's Advent, then you run into potential issues with making sure like the colours are okay, especially like with these cats. How cute are they? And then the section is called Little Boopable Noses. The whole thing was just, the pattern is every day you're meant to knit one section. I didn't really have an Advent, like I mentioned Eden Cottage Yarn, I'm pretty sure did these kits where you just got like little 5 gram minis, but I think she gave you 2 of each colour to knit this. So this was, I think, from last year. And there wasn't anything, like it wasn't an Advent because you just opened the box and everything was in there. You got a 50% voucher, like 50% off the actual pattern because you had to buy that. I'll show the other coloured cats as well. And so the pattern is designed originally with you knit one section a day. And for the most part I didn't start it until I was in Dubai, or did I start it beforehand? Can't remember now. It smells good. And it was amazing to knit. Like, I think this is one of my favourites. This is the first one you do, but I think that's absolutely beautiful. And some of the yarn as well. I'm like, Nina, you do not need full skeins. You do not need full skeins of it. And I've got a picture, 2 pictures that will go up on my Instagram at some point, where I feel like I almost have like 2 cowls. One is like these brighter, ooh, and then one's a bit more like moodier. I love it. Really quick to knit because each section really doesn't take long, so you can do it over the like 24 days, but I think you could get it done in less time than that. I think you could get this done in 2 weeks, if not less than that, if you really sit down to knit like every day. Like if it's your main project, I think you'll breeze through this because the colour work makes it really interesting. And she has an option at the end. I'm kind of, I think, actually regretting doing it, sadly. She tells you to slip some of the stitches and then Kitchener stitch it together. and that's how you get like the twist in the tail, I think she calls it. And I think it's a really cute design element, but one, it makes the cowl tighter than if you don't, which is fine because this actually fits quite snugly. I could put it on, but I'm really warm. I won't put it on. You'll get a picture at some point on my Instagram, which I will once again have linked below. Pardon me again. So I sort of wish I hadn't done that, but I do have to admit a really stupid mistake. I finished it, and it was relatively late at night, and I was like, I want this done, I want this done, I want to wear it. And so you have this long tube, and then me having done 2 Litmus cowls now, I was like, cool, take one end, seam it to the other, not thinking about the fact that that creates a loop, not this loop. Here, you need to take like the beginning or the end and put it inside and seam them together like that. Whereas the Litmus cowl was literally like bring the 2 ends together like that. So I had to undo it. And I'd already blocked it, which was sort of a good thing because there's certain bits that once you've twisted it, it's really hard to block this. But yeah, that was a nightmare undoing that. At least I remembered where it started and everything and could sort of figure it out. But it was not fun. And then doing it again and catching the stitches. I don't know how I did it, especially after the drama with those socks that I showed, which I talked about last time. I'm like, how did I have the like patience and level head to do this? But I'm hoping to wear this soon, and I think the colour is absolutely beautiful. I also have, I think, 2 skeins of yarn from Eden Cottage as well. I've got mohair and fluff all over me, I'm sorry. Which I really want to knit with because this was just lovely. Some of these colours, I'm like, I'm glad I don't know what they're called. I think this one's my favourite. Because it's like blue with like brown spots and it's sparkly. So there wasn't a specific order you had to knit with these with, because like I said, it wasn't actually an advent. You just got like a box, cute little box, and then all the balls were just in there. But it says in the pattern, like, be careful, you want to have a contrast with the cats. So this contrast, in my opinion, is much better than this contrast up here. But it still is good. The cats are so cute. But yeah, I would highly recommend knitting one, because you could do this with scraps, because you only need, well, it says you need 10 grams of each colour, but you don't even. For some of these, I literally used 5. Less than 5, because I didn't even use up one ball. For some of the other colours, you do need almost 10 grams, but to be honest, a lot of my scraps could have worked for this. I just liked those cute little like gumballs, like gumdrop balls that people wind those 5 grams in. Oh, so cute. But that's another thing I finished. Since you didn't even know I started that one. But I'll mention this because I can't remember. I might have mentioned it last time. I have a feeling I did, and if I did, I'm sorry. My second Litmus cowl is done. I've also got my first one here, just to kind of show off because I did some things differently. You'll notice my second one's shorter by one full colour repeat section. Because this one, if I wrap it around twice, it's quite loose. If I wrap it around 3 times, it's like really tight. So I did it twice in the hopes that it would be perfect, and it is. I wore it last night, yesterday when I went grocery shopping. It's perfect. All the yarn is from Mothie and the Squid, which I bought Christmas 2019. I had actually finished this quite a while ago, I just hadn't blocked it. So I think I've shown it off before, but not blocked. And I love all the colours. I just knew I get so much wear out of this. It's the scarf / cowl I wear the most. So I knew I wanted another one. And I knew straight away, I love this. It's a yak base. That's why it's like, this is undyed yak and it's just beautiful. But I knew I wanted another kind of neutral colour, but wanted to go black. Because it's just a bit moodier. And I think that's nice for winter with those bright pops. But yeah, just quickly show that off. That is done. I think I might leave it there and show the rest off another time because I still have a lot to get through. Let's start with well, I think I only have 2 things that you would have seen last time. So this will actually be much quicker than I thought it would be. I have not worked on this very much. I showed this off last time. I think I've got double of what I had before. So let me give you a close-up now that I have a bit more. Focus, please. Focus. You can just hear the needles like up against. Why? Why are you no focus? There we go. So this is herringbone stitch. So this is the front of the sweater. And this is the break. I'll put it here. Focus on me, please, now. Hello! I really do just have to do like a little jig and it will refocus. Amazing. By Fiber Tales. And I've mentioned before, I love her podcast. I really cannot get enough. One day I hope to test knit for her. That is my dream currently. I'm using Yarn by Wild Atlantic. I shared a really lovely story about this last time. I don't really have much to share because, like you can see, I did a few rows. But this is what happens when you only have a week between podcasts. Some projects get finished. Some projects have little progress, and it's also with the herringbone stitch. Like, even though I'm using 8mm needles, just my Knit Pro ones, my yarn is still attached to other projects. That's fine. Well, there's another project I've been working on a lot, so this kind of got a little bit abandoned, but it's Aran weight yarn with 8mm needles, but the way that herringbone stitch works, so you've got those leaning stitches because you kind of drop them from your needle before you work 2 of them together, drop one, leave the other one on, and then work it again. So you're pretty much working each stitch twice. And then also for the size I'm making, where I've got quite a few stitches on here, 120 I think, maybe less, can't really remember. But at the start it was really hard to get into the herringbone stitch because you've already got a worked stitch and then you need to go back into it, and it was just a bit fiddly getting the tension right, especially with these thicker needles, that this is really thin at the tip and then it only gets to its full size just around the colour change. But I finally sorted that, so now it's actually much quicker and much easier. So I think I'd done like 2 repeats last time. I didn't want to put in a progress keeper because you wouldn't have seen much, but I've done double that I think now, and that was just like in an hour, maybe less. So quite happy with it, and I think it's looking beautiful. So it's worked top down, like I said last time, but you have to work the front and the back separately. And then you join in the round after the sleeves, and then the sleeves can be worked top down or bottom up. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. I do like working sleeves bottom up, but not sure if it's worth the effort, because then you kind of have to, you know, like put those on hold, knit it, unless I've already got this done. Anyway, we'll see. We shall see. So not much to say about that one. I think the yarn was called Gathering Storm. Once again, I'll have it for you to find. And then something sort of exciting, but at the same time not, because I'm at the exciting point and I haven't worked on it. I mentioned I was going to cast this on last time, and now I actually have. I'll show you what I have so far. This is it. This is all I have. So this will be the Dark Water sweater by Jen Steingas, and I'm doing this for her knit along. And because I'm doing it for her knit along, and because it will be my first colourwork sweater, what I'm doing is, let me just check the time, we're all good. I'm actually filming myself when I make this. So this was one recording session that I did this. I'm not recording everything, I'm just kind of checking in every now and then. And I'm literally just up to the colourwork section. That's why I've lost my progress keeper. My stitch marker. Nice. Yeah, so I'm literally up to the colourwork now. And I think the day I was going to work on it, I just wasn't in the mood to film it. And I was like, but that was the point of me doing this. So the colour I'm using here, that you can see, is coming off much. Everything's just a bit not exactly right colour-wise. should be much more black because it's called charcoal. Charcoal's not blue. And then my contrast colour is chainmail, which is just kind of like a whitish colour with some grey bits in it. They're both by Noodle Soup. But once again, not too much to say about this because I've done some increases, which was easy. Was there a special cast on? I don't actually think there was. Yeah. So hopefully next time I'll have a bit more to share. And hopefully I'm also hoping once I've done a bit of the colourwork section, I'll probably release that video because I'd rather have it closer to the beginning of the knit along in case any of you are like, I don't think I can knit a sweater in colourwork. Like, well, I've done some colourwork now. I can't imagine this is going to be harder. I think a sweater would be easier because I think colourwork on DPNs is quite hard because I already know people have the issues with having like ladders down where the DPNs join. So I'm like, well, you don't have that with this. So, but I think it looks really beautiful already. Took a picture of it. Don't think I've posted it yet. And I can't wait for the colourwork to emerge. I might knit on this today because I'm already all set up for filming. So I don't actually film here, I film on my sofa because that is where I knit. That was those two from last time. Other new cast-ons. How many do I have? I don't actually know. Hang on. I do have 3. That's actually not that bad. Oh, that's because I'm not showing you all of them. I am awful. I just have a lot of projects on at the moment. I was back up to 26. It's snowing again. I was back up to 26, which was my number when I made that video. I mentioned last time as well about like how many projects is too many or whatever. So I was back up to like 26, maybe even 27. But I've now brought that down by finishing a few things. That's part of the reason why I did the blanket. I just wanted to finish things so I can actually just enjoy some new stuff. So I'm sort of setting myself a bit of a goal of trying to finish one of my old projects that I've had on the go for, you know, over a year already and get them done. One of them will be the Nobu shawl, I think that's what it's called, that I've worked on, where I've done 1.5 and I'm like, I don't want to do the other half because I literally just have to repeat what I've already done. Anyway, so I didn't actually take a drink. So I'm hoping that, you know, every second podcast, if I film every week or, no, if I film every fortnight, you'll see one of these old projects getting done, or at least seeing some progress. So I'm like, I'm not going to overwhelm myself and be like, I must focus only on them. Like, no, just pick one, focus on that one a bit, get it done. My next project is being held in my beautiful Liberty project bag from the Fiber Fox. So I think I've mentioned this so many times. Georgie's mum makes these. She's an amazing sewer. I sew as well. And that's going to be important later on with something I'm going to mention. So I'm actually hoping to make some of my own project bags because I've got some fabric. And I'm in need of more project bags and I shouldn't keep buying them when I can sew. And I don't think I mentioned in my last video, but for Christmas my mum got a new sewing machine, a really good one. And she was like, oh, well, I guess I'll give away my old Singer one, which every time I'm in Dubai and I sew with it, I complain because I think it's not garbage, but it's not the best sewing machine, especially because my one that I have in Austria is really, really good. But mum, well, I was talking to mum about it and I was like, oh, I'm so sad I don't have a sewing machine here. One of my housemates at one point did, but I currently now live alone because she moved down south. So obviously she took a sewing machine with her. And I kind of said to mum, like, if I can, you know, if I have the luggage or space or can, you know, put it in my hand luggage, could I take your old one? And she laughed and was like, I thought you hated that one. I was like, well, I do, but it's better than nothing. But yes, I'm hoping to make myself some project bags because I love sewing and I miss it. And so you might see a bit more of that, which isn't actually the extra craft I've been doing. I'll get onto that soon. But yeah, so sewing will be coming at some point. But this is the project bag. I am making the foxtails socks by the Petite Knitter. I'm pretty sure she's called. I did have a beautiful swatch because I really wanted to try out if it was all going to work out and be okay, because I've had issues with colourwork socks before. I didn't keep it though because I thought I would have knitted more on this. This is currently all I have. Just a bit of the cuff. So, yes, I am using yarn by the wonderful Georgie from the Fibre Fox, but I'm actually sort of knitting these for her. And by sort of, I am literally knitting these for her as a shop sample. Is it a shop sample? A sample. So she can show off her yarn. And here are the 3 colours she sent me. Aren't they wonderful? So we're currently still not sure so you can do a mismatched pair where one sock, the cuff is this colour and toes and heels, and then with the other one you use this one. All the colour work section is the same, and this will always be your background colour and everything, but you can mismatch them. So we had sort of said like that's probably a good thing because then you can really see the yarn properly, but then it's like, but having the same colour is also really cute, and Georgie really likes this brown. So this is on her plumpy base. This one's called Driftwood Shell. I should have brought the labels in. I still have them. And I know this one's called Maple. I'm just not sure if this one is actually called Shell. Sorry, Georgie. I'm so bad. But yeah, so it's a plumpy base. So it's so beautiful because it's got some cashmere in it. And I knitted up a sample of the colour work and it worked beautifully. I did it while talking to Georgie and a few other people because we had like a Zoom night. And at first I was like, oh, I'm not going to do colour work while talking to people. And then I was like, oh, but I really do want to cast them on. And I think I got in a few rows and then was like, oh, I'm about to knit colour work with 3 colours for the first time. And Georgie was like, wait, what? It's 3 at a time? I didn't know that. I'm so sorry. And I was like, hey, there's a first time for everything. And I really want a pair of these socks as well. So we're hoping that once I finish the pair for Georgie, there'll actually be enough yarn for me to make one. I think there'll definitely be enough of the 2 kind of like, why do I keep dropping the brown? Enough of these, but I'm not sure if there will be enough of this one. But I'll make that I can easily substitute with a different yarn if I run out, or just message Georgie and be like, I send you money, you send me another skein of this, please. But I'm really, really glad to be doing them. And also, like, knitting a sample for the Fibre Fox. Come on! That's amazing! But yeah, so I'd hoped I'd have more to show you and actually get onto the colour work. But I got a bit distracted by another project. And I also love the look of the swatch so much. I didn't want to kind of, like, I just wanted it to sit there and for me to stare at it and for me to love it and not to have to do it all again. And it looked beautiful, it really did. I'm really happy with it. So I'm knitting away on these. It's currently slow going, but I know once I get into the colour work it's going to be much quicker because I knitted up that swatch quite quickly actually. Because it's just exciting, and knitting with 3 colours wasn't actually as bad as I thought it would be. Because, yeah, sure, my 2 kind of contrast colours get mixed up, but the way that I've started knitting colour work, because I tried, for those socks I showed earlier, what I used to do at first was pick up one colour, knit with it, pick up another, drop that one, pick up the next colour. It was just taking so long and it just wasn't enjoyable. So I figured out how to wrap them around, one around each finger. I think I've mentioned that before. But obviously with 3 colours, I have never been able to. I'm trying to learn. I know you can get little things for your finger, so you can have 2 colours in there. But because I'm a wrapper, not a grabber of the yarn, I don't think that's going to be doable. But I want to try and learn, because I know Icelandic knitting and stuff typically uses 3 colours at once as well. I just have to kind of stop occasionally. I have to knit a bit slower, still faster than if I pick up and drop with all colours. But I just have to stop every now and then, untangle them a bit. And at least with socks, it doesn't tangle as quickly as with a jumper, because if you do 2 or 3 rounds, that's still typically probably not a full jumper, depending on what size you make. So I haven't got far with them, but I can already say they're going to be beautiful in those colours. So I'm going to try, I've got one thing that I'm about to show you now, where I'm trying to focus a lot of my attention because I want it done quickly. And then most of my attention will be on that one. I'm knitting them on 2.25mm needles, because that's what the pattern says, and I got perfect gauge for that. We'll see. We will see how long they take. I know I can get socks done in like a week, so colourwork socks maybe not. But I'm like, 2 weeks? I can definitely get them done in 2 weeks if I just actually focus. So the next project is the thing that has taken up most of my time, but not even as much time as you'd think. I started this on Friday. It's now Monday. I've worked on it a little bit during my lunch break. For the most part, I started quite late on a Friday. So for the most part, I did this just over the weekend. It's a test knit for Sophie, who's the Knit Pearl Girl on Instagram. And also I think her blog's called the same. And she's been designing patterns for a short while now. And I test knitted, I can't remember the name of the cardigan, but I wore it, and I think it was actually the last video I did last year. It was like this sort of purple cardigan out of cotton that I'd made, and that was the first time I test knitted for her. I think it might also have been her first pattern. And she kind of like released a couple of other patterns, was always kind of looking for test knitters, but it was all kind of similar to that cardigan. There were like sweater versions and stuff like that, and I was like, I don't think I also just didn't really have the time. Like, if I had the time, I think I would have, been like, record a video. But I do try to help out with test knitting, because I know how hard it is, because you shouldn't, in my opinion, especially with sweaters, you shouldn't release a size if you haven't had someone test knit it, or at least, tested most of the sizes, and then kind of say to people, look, if you're going to knit this size, let me know, you can have the pattern for free, and then give me some feedback to make sure that size is okay, because things fit differently depending on your size. Anyway, this is the Colour Burst sweater. She'd been posting about this for quite a while and just wasn't sure when to release it, because test knitting and stuff takes time. Isn't this stunning? I was really worried the colour combo wouldn't be good, but I'm actually really happy with it. So I'm making this entirely out of the petite wool from We Are Knitters. So I think Sophie uses the Mary wool. Is it by We Are Knitters or Wool in the Gang? One of the two. So it's an Aran weight. There's 140 meters and 100 grams. And I think for my size, she said you probably won't need a full skein for the colours, unless you do it at the bottom of the sweater and the bottom of the sleeves, then maybe you will. And I have one of each of these colours. So I've got the red, the kind of turquoise, and the grey. For the body, I think for my size, she said I need maybe 5 or 6, I think it was. Maybe it was 6. Maybe it was like directly 6. But she's not entirely sure, because it depends how long you make it and everything. And she just has it based on her sample that she's made. So I have 2 black and 2 white. And I also have 2 yellow and 2 green. And so when I started this, I was like, whatever colour I pick here, I can't put it here. I'm not going to have enough yarn. So what if, start with one colour, do the colour work, bring in a new colour. And I was originally hoping that, I'm on my second ball of the white now, and I was hoping I could knit long enough with that one to get to the next colour change, because I'm going to do the colour work at the bottom and the sleeves, because it's shorter than this for the bottom and for the sleeves. I think you only do 1 repeat. But what I'm going to do is then do the colour work and transition back to the black. Same thing for the sleeves. So they're going to be white till you get to about here. Colour work, transition to the black for the cuff. But this is how much I have left of my second skein. And I don't think I want this to be cropped. I think, especially because it's quite thick, like I'm not going to wear something over it. So if it's cropped, that's potentially a bit risky. So I want it longer. It's getting quite long already, because I really have been knitting it. So you can see it's almost a crop length. It's probably more like here. But I probably want it longer, so I probably want the colour work about maybe here at my widest part, because that's smart. So I'm desperate. I've gone online on Facebook to like wool destashes and been like, anyone, even if you can just get me one more, please. I haven't heard anything back. I might just have to order a skein or two. It shouldn't be too bad. There's also some other, I think there's one other type of yarn from Wool and the Gang, We Are Knitters, that I've wanted to buy because I've got one random skein and it's not enough to do anything with. But I did this in one evening, and that was the Friday evening, which took me like no time. The only thing that was a bit tricky, it's hard because it's black, but you might be able to see, this is actually quite thick, because you knit the ribbing and then fold it, and then either seam it down, but I did what Sophie suggested and knit the cast on into, like knit together with the actual live stitches I still had, so it just immediately folds down, and I love it. So that's quite warm and cozy and a bit thick, but I like it. And the colour work I did in another evening. I think the only thing I hadn't done was maybe like the grey and the blue transitioning into the white, because I was like, am I going to do it into the white? Am I going to do it into the yellow? I wasn't too sure yet. But I love it. I absolutely love it. It really makes me think of like I'm going skiing, I'm going ice skating kind of sweater. I have one skein of petite wool in marshmallow, which is also kind of this neutral colour with like specks of light blue and light pink and light yellow. And I was like, oh, I could transition that in, but I think it could ruin it. Like, I love how it looks now. I think the idea of transitioning back into the black is going to be beautiful. And I think it's also sort of a smart choice, because if I get anything on my cuffs, it'll be black. You won't be able to see, whereas white, a bit dangerous. So I might just have to bite the bullet and buy probably 2 skeins just to be safe. But I've already decided, if I have, even if I don't have a lot of these colours left, I've got a few other colours, like I said, green and yellow, and I think maybe one more colour. I might make a hat version, just using the same kind of colour motif, and then, you know, they can sort of go together and be adorable. So I'm hoping to have some of the white and the black left for that. But yeah, so really like a weekend's worth of knitting there. And because it's a test knit, I think we have until like mid-March or something. But because I'm hoping to help someone else out with a test knit, which is a fingering weight and mohair sweater, which is going to take me much longer than this Aran weight, I want to get this done as quick as possible. Plus, I also just want to wear it now, because beautiful. So this is the thing with the yarn that both Wool and the Gang and We Are Knitters sell. I remember when I first knitted with them, like, oh, it's not actually that soft. It's Peruvian Highland wool, and I think that's all it is. It's a single ply. It's not spun. I can literally say that. I know it's not spun. And it has quite long fibres. That's why it has like this fuzzy halo-ness. And that means it's not the softest when you compare it like to the Plumpy or just your standard superwash merino, and then also the superwash process kind of changes the fibre. But this is warm. And I'm not someone who's too fussed about kind of scratchier wool. I don't find it itchy. Like, even this from the mohair, it's not the softest mohair I've ever worked with, but I get used to it really quickly. And the more I work with more rustic yarns, the more I kind of love that feel and how warm they are. So I think everything has its place, but it's perfect for this because look at this colour work. Stunning. And that, well, my computer's going to sleep again, is currently being kept in this bag, which actually nicely leads me into something I've bought. Because my happy scrappy blanket used to be in here, but it was getting way too big. I couldn't keep my scraps in here. But look, it's a cute little fibre fox pin. I think this one came with the Advent with the bag, which was so cute. And so I'm currently just keeping my wool in there, but I had, for that project, But that did have my, so I can only keep the wool in here. I can't keep the jumper in there. Aaron, wait, isn't it lovely? I keep getting distracted. My happy scrappy blanket was in here. It was getting too big. I couldn't keep my scraps in here. So when Georgie, more fiber fucks. When Georgie posted that more extra large bags were coming into the shop, I was like, I think this is the time. And so she was like, oh, I'm going to send you the sock, the plumper yarn for the socks. I think she was like, I'll send it to you tomorrow, whatever. I was like, can I be really cheeky? I was like, I really want one of the extra large bags. Could you throw it in there? And I'll just, you know, pay you. And she was like, sure thing. So here it is. Look at the cute little badgers. And she also threw in a pin for me. How nice is that? So they're so adorable. And isn't this bag massive? So I can now, I haven't shown this off, I think, since I first kind of started it. Currently doesn't have needles on it because I've been using them for something else. But this is currently what I have. So I'm still at the increasing. And you can see these stitch markers here. I've used them before. But the stitch markers are from Hook and Light. So I'm just using them to indicate, I think I'm up to every 20 stitches now, just so I don't have to keep counting them. So as I'm increasing when I get to 20 new ones, it just makes counting it so much easier. And so I'm almost, I think, there. I think I've got, was it 20 more increases, something like that? So you can just see all the yarns I've transitioned through. This area down here is all Litmus Cowl. That's what I originally, I think, showed you in one of my videos. And now it's just everything. And currently I'm using this, which is Into the Unknown by the Fiber Fox, which I showed last time for my Jessica Jones cowl. And the yarn I'm holding, so I always try to hold something much smaller with something a bit bigger. This is, I think, some kind of a random skein. I think my mum, come on. Oh, look at my lovely hand. It's not gonna focus, is it? There we go. I think my mum had, and for some reason I ended up with it. If you remember, I was making like a ginger snap jumper at one point, and I scrapped it because it just wasn't the right yarn for it. And now I want to make a Weekender light with it, I think it is. I think it's the light one because it's 4-ply. And it wasn't a full skein. I think Mum used it for like a traditional Austrian cardigan or something like that. So apparently I had it and I was like, I'll use it in this. And I've currently still got them in here because I don't have much time to play around with things. These are all the scraps I have. Now, this does not mean that all of this will go in the blanket. It's just I keep all my scraps currently in here. At some point I'm going to just empty them out. So I can just rummage through and grab what I want when I want it. Because some of these are quite big. Like, this one's probably more like 40 grams. So I'm not sure. This one here, I don't know if you can see it through. That one's more like 80 or something. So I'm just keeping them in here because I don't know where else to keep them right now. And especially as the blanket gets wider and wider, you can see that my stripes are getting narrower compared to how they kind of started, which is to be expected. But I always want to hold one yarn, which changes quite quickly, with one yarn that transitions for 2 or 3 colours to make the transitions a bit more seamless, I guess. But yeah, so that's the, ooh, we nearly lost a stitch there. So that's a project bag I bought, and it has changed my life because this blanket was getting really hard to manage. And now it has a home. Oh, look at the little good boy. So cute. What else have I bought? Oh, hello. Fuzzy. Wuzzy. Yes. I think I have 3 more things to share now. Something else I bought, which arrived Saturday, I'm pretty sure. And it's snowing again. What is going on? Anyway, so I heard, not actually from Ellie from Skeindeer Knits, she has a podcast that I do watch, but someone else who watches her mentioned the fact that one of the shops down in London is Ellie's favourite knitting shop, called Knit With Attitude, which I'd never heard of. I'd heard everyone kind of talk about, is it Loop London? But I hadn't heard about Knit With Attitude, and their focus kind of is more ethical and sustainable yarn. So for the most part, they don't have any superwash yarn. There's a lot of Norwegian and Icelandic yarn from what I've seen. And I'll start with the yarn. I'm not showing off all of them because I'm lazy. But in the Fiber Tales podcast, she's currently testing a jumper using yarn. I didn't bring the little... Oh, well, I remember what it's called. And it's called Plöttoloppi, which I think is really adorable. So this is the yarn. It comes in these cakes. It's DK weight, 100 grams in here. And it's unspun, like I explained with the We Are Knitters yarn. And it's because it's unspun, it is more fragile than a spun yarn. So I can't find the beginning around here because it all just kind of sticks together. But the inside is really easy to find, so I just pull from the center. And that's what I've seen other people do, and it works quite well. You'd never want to like pull from too far away. If you've ever done any spinning, you might also know it's long fibers. So this is Icelandic wool. Wow, what is happening out there? It's like really dark and everything, and it's like almost a snowstorm. Anyway, there are long fibers in here, which once again can make it itchy for some people. But if you pull from far away, it's really easy to separate the fibers. Whereas if you pull close, it's actually really easy to get it out. And I have heard that people say you can't knit too tightly with this because once again, you kind of pull and then everything can fall apart. But you can really easily stick it back together because it's unspun. And I was like, this yarn, just everything that I'd watched a few videos on it. I was like, I love this. I love the sound of this. Really beautiful rustic yarn, and this might gross some people out. It literally smells like I've got sheep in my house. And I bought 5 colours of this because, and this blew my mind, I was like, this should be really expensive because this is really beautiful. I think one skein was £5.50. I'm like, and what, how does this make sense? I was like, I would have paid so much more. Don't tell them. If I don't have to, I don't want to. As long as, everything's actually ethical and fair, and I'm not going to yank on this. This would literally be the worst idea ever. So I bought the 5 colours that they had in stock. Now they've got like nearly nothing in stock. I only bought 1 of each colour. I have a black, this dark grey, a lighter grey. Or did I only buy 4? I thought I bought 5. A black, a dark grey, a light grey, a lighter grey, maybe, and a white. And there's a shawl I'm going to make with it. I'm just waiting for the pattern to arrive. And it only needs, I think, about 800 meters. So 2.5 of these. And so I'll have 2.5 left. So I can either make another one with the... I in the original pattern, I'll have a link below what it is because I can't remember. I think it's called Ito. It's definitely Melody Hoffman, one of those two. And she uses, I think, 6 different colours and uses spit splicing, but not really because she just rubs the yarn together. So she breaks off a bit, sticks that onto the end of the colour she's working on, then rejoins the main one, then does longer and longer sections of her new colour. You can use spit, that's why it's called spit splicing. But she's like, with this yarn, you don't even have to. You just rub them together. I'm not going to do that many transitions. I think I want it to be quite dark and moody, so I think I'm only going to use the black, the dark grey, and then half of the middle grey. So I'll have, but now I'm actually thinking about making a hat with the leftovers, and seeing how that would work. And then I might want the black and the white. So I might actually use yet less of the black, and then more of the medium grey. But Can't get enough of smelling it. I know that creeps, well, not creeps, grosses people out. But yeah, so beautiful to work with. I love it. Because I did start the shawl because I knew the first few bits. But I didn't want to show it off right now because I've got too much to show. And there's not much to see yet. But when I was looking at that yarn, and I couldn't believe they had it, I also saw they have a book. So the shop originally opened in 2010. And so 2020 was their 10-year anniversary. So they released a book with patterns using, you know, the yarn that they sell. But then, of course, because of COVID, they couldn't have like a big launch party and celebration. But I think the book's still done really well. I think there's only one pattern where I'm like, oh, I probably won't make that. But everything else, like, look at this cardigan. It is black, so it's hard to see, but there is a really beautiful, like, beautiful detailing. One of my other favorites is this one here, like a t-shirt. Ellie from Skeindeer Knits actually has a pattern in here, which I really want to make as well, and features steeking, which is important for the next, not the next thing, the thing after I want to mention. I've got two more. But if you've got it in your budget, I would really highly recommend... Oh, I can't show that page. That actually has pattern bits on it. Hang on. There you go. Just really, really beautiful patterns. I'd suggest look at it online, have a look at the patterns, and, you know, maybe you'll fall in love with them as much as I did. Because they are beautiful. And another reason I really love it is, I think her name's Maya, the store owner. She, like, you know, most knitting books. So she wrote a little section at the start, kind of, you know, about how she got started and joined with a friend of hers to form a really unique shop. And then the most beautiful thing happens, in my opinion. She talks about the pandemic. And she kind of says, you know, the impact it's had with them not being able to have a launch and a lot of other things. And I was like, how amazing is it to have a record of the pandemic in a knitting book? I'm here for that. So beautiful patterns, but then also really cool. I just put that up there. What it then says about COVID. And then, next book. I've had this one for a while. I just don't know why I didn't share it last time. I think I mentioned... Did I mention? Either way, I'm mentioning it again. Michelle from the Loveliest Yarn Company, who also dyes yarn for Banshee yarns. She does so much and designs patterns and stuff. It did a knit along last. Was it a knit along? Is it called knit along? I'm going to call it a knit along. But she did a challenge. It was a challenge where you had to knit 12 pairs of socks in 12 months in 2020. 12 months in 2020 makes sense, right? And this year, because 52 weeks of socks came out last year, she was like, well, why don't we do... She was like, I don't want to do a 52 pairs of socks challenge, but maybe we can do 12 pairs of socks from this book. I sort of owned the book. My mum bought it, so I had it for a while, but over Christmas I gave it to her. So I bought my own, because there's too many patterns I love in here. I'm like, I need to. I haven't decided. I've posted about this on my Instagram. I'm not entirely sure which pair I want to make first. Part of me wants to just start from the beginning, especially because I think the first pair is absolutely beautiful. And they're actually toe up, I think, which I've never done, so it'll be exciting. And Georgie's doing another Mystery Sock Club this year, and this is January's colour, and isn't it beautiful? Come on. There you go. Absolutely incredible. Look at all those different colours in there. And my lovely hands again. Yeah, so it's called Winter Dawn. And I just want to find the perfect pattern for this. But I need to start soon because I haven't done January's pair yet and we're in February. We're getting towards mid-February now. But last year I was sort of behind and then I ended up finishing way more pairs of socks than I needed to. So I know it will happen. Did I really put everything in here? That can't be. Oh, that's because I have another project. I'm an idiot. Rewind. But yeah, so socks will be happening. I just haven't had a chance to cast those on yet. 1, because I haven't made a decision, and 2, because I need to focus on those foxtail ones because they are a sample. They're not, you know, just for me. This is the other craft I was mentioning. I had a Zoom night with my friend Helena from Permade Yarns and my friend Georgie from the Fiber Fox. Do you know her? I've never talked about her or her yarn, have I? And she's crocheting a Battenberg blanket, and I think she's using 4-ply yarn. And I was crocheting a basket, which I don't want to show just yet. It's too awkward. I'll show it when it's finished. So this next project is in here. This was from the Christmas Eve box from the Fiber Fox. Another project bag by the Fiber Fox. I think I have like 3, 4, 5. Oh crap, do I already have 5? Anyway, so I don't crochet. I have crocheted 2, 3 things in my life. I have never really enjoyed it. I never learned how, holding it and everything fine. Working the stitches also fine. Reading the stitches is what I couldn't. I can now, for the most part. But I couldn't really do that because, well, I just never learnt to crochet. It's the same thing when I started knitting, I couldn't read stitches. But so Georgie was working on this Battenberg blanket, and I was like, damn, they look really cute. And I have so many 4-ply scraps and minis as well that I could use if I made a scrappy blanket. And I was like, and I tried it, and it was really hard for me with 4-ply yarn. 4-ply? I call it fingering weight. I went against what I said last week. So I took out some DK instead, and I was like, well, I'll practice on thicker yarn and then I can move to my fingering weight. But now I've actually settled, I'm just going to do a Battenberg blanket with DK weight yarn because I've got quite a few scraps. Some of them are in here, but I have a big bag almost as big as my fingering weight one. So I thought I'd show off some of them. They're not perfect. I think with a couple of them I've made mistakes because, like I say, I don't crochet. But I'm getting better at it now. So here's one. Come on. I really hate doing the hand in front of... You're just not having it now. Just... If I knew where it would... Still me in focus. Either way, I've got 2 of these. You can't see them. You can... Didn't fool you. Whatever. It's just... I mentioned this yarn last time. It's by Beehive Yarns, her Halloween Town one. And I've crocheted 2. I still have quite a bit left. Plenty. There's going to be a lot of these. Then, this is some leftover West Yorkshire Spinners Bo Peep, like baby yarn. Because I made my friend a little like kimono for her baby. So I have a lot of that left. So there'll be a lot of those squares as well. I made some using Helena's yarn. I actually made a pair of socks with these, which I don't think I've shared, but you can see the yarn here. Absolutely beautiful. I think these are some of my favourites actually. This is some leftover Wild Atlantic yarn that my mum used for a shawl that she made me, which I still haven't shared either. And then here, I ran out of yarn. This is some leftover Wool and the Gang Sugar Baby Alpaca, I think it's called. I made like a bralette or something from whatever. I made like a bralette, and this was what I had left over, but it wasn't enough, so I had to use the purple to finish it off. But I don't really care because it's all scrappy. So those are the ones I currently have. I think I did most of those just in like an evening, I think, while I was running a D&D session. Running a D&D session and crocheting. Who am I? I'm amazing. I'm a multitasker now. Just putting them back into this bag because I can squish it down and get the air out. So at some point, this is going to need a bigger bag too. But I'm going to make one, not going to buy one. So I've been working on that occasionally. It's kind of nice to have something else to do. And I'm really starting to get into the swing of things of like, get the yarn, pull it through, get the yarn, pull it all the way through, stuff like that. like I said, it's just nice to have a bit of a change. Not that I get bored of knitting, that's why I have so many projects, but it's just something different, which is always exciting. And then, last thing, I promise, because this is getting insanely long, I mentioned earlier that, from this book, Ellie has a pattern in there that involves steeking, which I really, really want to try, but I am a bit nervous about it. And I have heard you shouldn't... It's easier if you use non-superwash yarn because it's grippier. It's got fibers, like longer fibers, and they stick out, because I think that's what the superwash process gets rid of, so it's smoother, softer. But you want that grippiness with steeking because you end up, reinforcing everything, but you cut your jumper, so you don't want everything to like unravel sideways, which your knitting typically doesn't do. It unravels down. But with superwash yarn, it's more likely to unravel sideways. Am I still going to use superwash yarn for steeking? You betcha. I'm just not going to use the crochet method to reinforce it. I'm going to use my sewing machine, which I have now. Couldn't do it before, can now. I'm not entirely sure what pattern I'm going to make, because apparently I'm a maniac and want to use fingering weight instead of like Aran weight, which is the one from the book. But I have some yarn from Ducky Darlings that I really love, and I wanted to make a cardigan out of it, and I was like, why not try it? Why not try it? I know how this yarn works because I've worked with it so many times. It will be perfect. And I also have some minis from her because she does the little like paint box minis. And I like how moody these are. And I think it will go perfectly with this. So this is Rust Bucket. All of it, obviously, by Ducky Darlings. And I think I've settled on a pattern. Is it Katie Davis? I'm actually going to look this one up. Because I want you to see this. We'll go to the good old Rav. I still use it a lot. I have talked about the issues. Apparently things are getting better, but still doesn't excuse how they kind of handled all of it. But I don't really know what else to use. Doesn't mean I'm okay with what's been happening there. Did I not save it? What? Oh, well, there she is. There she is. Kate Davies. Could still be Davis. I think it's Davies. But let's see if I can show you on my phone, or whether it's going to just be really blinding and annoying and you won't be able to see it. I'll get there, I promise. Because I don't know how to pronounce it. Can you... Oh yeah, my ring light. Nice. Don't focus on me. There you go. That's the one. And now I'm going to do a scrolly scroll so you can see the name. There you go. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm sorry. I don't even want to try. I'll look up the pronunciation so I can learn it before when I actually start making it. I don't have the pattern yet, but it's got quite a bit of different colours, and I think I didn't need a lot of each of them. That's why I think these 10-gram minis will work out. And I know this looks really grey and kind of yellow, so that, works for these ones and the browns, but there is actually some blue in here too. Some skeins have more of it than others. There's some blue, you see? So I think this will be perfect. It's worked bottom up, so you start first with just getting familiar with the steek stitches, you do a bit of colour work at the ribbing, and then you just kind of work the body before you get to the colour work. And that's where I get nervous with the steeking, because you have to alternate the colours. I think from memory it might only be 2 colours in every row, which makes it easier. Unlike something else I want to knit with steeking where it's 3 colours, and if you only have like 5 or 6 steek stitches, you don't actually have a lot of stitches for each colour. Whereas if it's only 2 colours, you're constantly alternating, so it's quite secure. We shall see. If, like, the thing is, especially if I sew it down with a sewing machine, I don't see why it shouldn't be okay. I just need to watch how much I pull it, because if I pull it too much, it's kind of like working with jersey if you sew, about giving it enough of a tug that the stitches have stretch, without, as in like the sewing stitches, but also the knitting stitches, but not too much that you've pulled it too far apart and it can't contract. So I do sew, well, I used to sew a lot. It used to be my craft of choice. So I feel quite confident with that. Whereas a crochet one, I feel better about it now. And I do think it looks easier. Because I'm a bit nervous about sewing. I think I'm more nervous about sewing my knitting than I am about cutting it. Because once the sewing's done, I'm like, of course you can cut it, whatever. I've cut my knitting before. But that's kind of all the knitting stuff, and I've been doing so much research into Steeking to try and make sure I've messaged people who've done it and been like, any tips and all of this, but I just need to do it. I waited until the end of 2020 to do colour work, and look at me now. I'm like, Steeking should be easy compared to that. We're gonna do it, and it's gonna be great. I have a lot more stuff that I could show you. A lot more things I could talk about. But my laptop says I've been talking for 1 hour and 30 minutes. I had issues with the colours in my last video. I'm not sure if they're going to be right in this one either, which is frustrating, but I enjoy filming from my laptop. You get to see a bit more. It's really hard with my camera. Even if I zoom out and move the camera back, I don't have the space. I hope that I've fiddled around with the quality, so I hope that's better today as well. And the setup is just so much easier. And then also the editing is so much easier because it's just all on my laptop already. So I'm going to try as hard as I can to get this set up to work. I think there's a lot more I could say, but I don't think I will. I'm probably going to record in a week's time again, less than a week actually. And we'll see how much I can get done before then, but I'll be able to show you a few more things I've been working on, other things I'm planning on casting on, because I think that's also exciting to see. At some point I'm going to regret saying this, I might take you stash diving when I find a pattern I want to make, but I'm trying my best not to buy yarn for new projects and instead go to my stash first, see if I can make it from there. And I might take you along for that at some point, or at least kind of bring out some yarn I could use for a project and then talk you through it on camera. But I think it would be nice just to kind of sit down weekly and film. And I think it would also be nice in the future if I could actually, not talk so long for about all my projects and everything, and actually just have a bit of a chat about, things that have been going on, talk a bit more about the Steeking research I've done, fibre research I've done, spinning research I've done. I've just been fully into all things fibre. And talk about sewing and stuff. And, just sit down and knit a bit with you so I can, work on my jumper. But I think some people might love 2-hour videos. I know I do, because I watch these when I knit. I know not everyone does. And some people are already going to be freaked out by 1:30. My last one was 1:20. But if you did make it this far, thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry, I just can't get enough of these minis. They're so cute. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And like I've said before, if you didn't, thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy it, give it a thumbs down. But engagement is engagement. And the biggest thing for me is just I love comments. I love hearing things that you liked about what I mentioned, what you didn't like, what are your thoughts on Steeking, things like that. Because I know a lot of people are scared of it. I mentioned it in a Zoom night and everyone was like, oh, I don't want to do that, cutting my knitting. And I was like, I need to get over this fear. I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. What else was I going to say? But yeah, so, if you don't want to comment, because I struggle to comment on podcasts because I watch them on my TV. So I can't give it a thumbs up, I can't give it a thumbs down, and I can't comment. So often what I do is then quickly pick up my phone and go to the video on my watch history and then just comment from there while I'm still watching it, which feels really weird. But I guess it gives people an extra view, but only for like a short period of time. And otherwise, you can always find me on Instagram. It's where I am the most active. I try to check my YouTube, but I am definitely more active on Instagram. So find me on there, Nina_Maria_design. Message me, comment on my post. Interact with me, people. And of course, if you want to keep being notified of videos that I do, now that I'm here for it now. I've got too much love. I can't contain it. I need to share it. Then please subscribe. That's the easiest way. Just to kind of, so you don't have to keep finding me. I forget about people. Just hit that subscribe button. Yum, 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 yum. Press it. And you'll hear from me again soon. I've got, like I mentioned last year, I've got quite a lot of video ideas. It's just all about how much time I have. So I'm getting more and more into my thesis writing, which just makes it hard to then do anything else. But as that starts to die down, hopefully over the next few months, as I start to finish, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a lot more knitting and just crafty things. So stay tuned for that. Stay safe, stay well, all the good things. One of the big things, I guess, as well, since I mentioned that depression blanket, if you're struggling, I know it can be hard to reach out to people. And I don't want to make a promise that will always be worth it and always be great, but most of the time, at least for me, it has been amazing. Sometimes it can be helpful just to reach out to someone that you don't even know. And you don't even have to tell them exactly about your problems. You just kind of say, like, this pandemic sucks. And I swear everyone would agree with you. But yeah, look after yourselves. Remember to check in if you can occasionally with people that you love and care about. And keep crafting if you can and if you want to. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to potentially influence you to purchase beautiful things and knit more and do things. Or just to take up your time while you're working on your knitting, crocheting, sewing, whatever you do. That is all from me. I'm going to stop talking before I hit 1 minute 40. It's been a pleasure. Talk to you again soon. Bye.